Today I'll be interviewing Halyna Chapilo. Halyna, thanks for joining me today for our webinar. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, George, for having me today. I'm so thrilled and happy to be here in such a beautiful day outside today.
Thank you. I see you put together a great presentation for us, and I'm excited to have you share it with our listeners and our viewers. And note to our listeners, if you haven't had a chance to read Halyna's chapter titled, "What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up?" I highly recommend you do so. Lots of great info that will be expanded on in today's presentation.
Yeah, my pleasure. I work on that presentation just to put it together, and it's I use that information on one-on-one workshops, and sometimes I send to some of my clients just to see what it is, how I work, and it's just easy to use even on a daily basis. Sometimes you can, have struggle with something, you can just pop up and, bring some information that helps you to restart and reboot your day to more of, happiness level, higher happiness level.
Well, I like the approach that you are focusing on, the positive and optimistic things in front of you rather than get pulled into the negativity. So, let's start off with your bio and then we can just jump right into your presentation if you're okay with that.
Yeah, super. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Perfect. As the founder and leader of My Academy of Happiness, Halyna Chapilo recognized that her emotions set her mood for the day. If she was in a state of happiness, then everything around her was like a bright light. She also noticed how her days could be filled with negativity all around her, which is a reflection of her own negative thoughts. After this profound realization, Halyna has been on a personal and spiritual journey to live her true purpose, which is to set others on a path of joy and happiness. She draws on her strong intuition and uncompromising honesty to work to ensure her clients gain balance in all aspects of their lives. Halyna combines over 20 years of practical entrepreneurial experience and has found her own spiritual awakening while managing a full-time job and being a mother to her 3 wonderful children and helping her husband build his own business. She can help you do the same. Halyna is holistic in her approach to her clients' needs. She has helped clients with romantic, financial, family, personal health, business, ambition, and helping you find your personal destiny. Halyna calls herself the happiness guru, and her philosophy can be summed up in 3 simple words: dream, write, implement. Are you ready to dream, write, and implement? Then get My Academy of Happiness and Halyna Chapilo working for you. Your dreams have waited long enough.
Thank you so much, George. That's a short information about me, what I do and how I became, I've been always in the business since early 20s. And I thought that my intuition, the way how I see the people, that's mostly everybody sees like that. And took me almost another 20 years to realize it's how people call it's a gift to feel another person, to feel their emotions, to see what's happening in them without even, asking them. Mm-hmm. So, and then about a year and a half, almost 2 years, I started to work with people in terms of helping them to realize what I call to connect the dots a bit faster, so they don't have, spend time searching and knocking to the locked doors, right? It just, I can point it to a few things, right? And the person can just use own resources, own power, or in the power to, be more successful, like already in the same day, right? It just, we have so much power built in us, but we're not using efficiently. And many times, many of us are looking outside, looking somewhere else, but sometimes you have to stop and look inside what's happening within us, what wisdom you collect, and then you start using that combined with the outside information, so you can be more practically, you can be more successful at anything you do. And, starting with your own relationship and the relationship in the family, in the business, in, outside of the world.
I love your approach to things, and I'm certainly a big believer in having not just one mentor, but several mentors in our life, depending on where we're at and what we need assistance with. At the same time, recognizing the resources that we do have within ourselves, so not relying on somebody to be our guru per se, but just say, it's like, if we're working together, you help me find out what I've got within me and just help me take it to the next level, rather than me stumbling along. I could learn it eventually, but the time and energy I put into trying to figure things out on my own, why not go to an expert like yourself, which will save me just a lot of time in the long run and get me to where I want to be a lot faster.
That's right. That's right. That's what it is, right? So I'm not. I'm a big fan of people always researching and educating themselves, but also I'm a fan of trusting what you need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Trusting the moments that if you have the call and you have the urge to learn something more, you go ahead. But I'm not the fan when people say, I read 10 books a week, or I have, read 3 books a week. And there is no reason behind, because it's kind of sometimes people fall into the trend.
Mm-hmm.
When you cover yourself with that much information, right, you basically cover your wisdom, which you have inside,
Mm-hmm.
and you losing your identity. That's how I see it. And I've had many clients who we kind of, rediscover themselves because we said, Robin Sharma said, or this person said, right? And what you said, right? I'm interested what your quote is, what your vision is on life. So beside what other people said, it's wonderful, right? But when you just in conversation, you feel that person using this quote and that quote and that quote without saying what they feel. So I'm trying to, which I call this, it's a soul connection. Trying to put glue together 2 personality which you carry inside in one, and start to believe that your wisdom is as well as important as Robin Sharma wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's his life experience, and your life experience, it's more closer to you. So you should be using writing your quotes, writing your diary, right? What's happening, so you can summarize and just use it for tomorrow with more efficiency, right?
Love it, yeah. Because and I've been in situations just with my own life where I spent a lot of time going to different workshops, courses, reading the books. It's great because there is a lot of valuable information out there from experts like yourself. At the same time, am I really applying any of it? So it's learn and then do, and just keep going from there, rather than, well, I've read 20 books in the last month and you haven't taken any action on it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And somebody's wisdom is good if you apply it to your life, but sometimes you have to adjust it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take a portion of it, because behind that wisdom, there's always circumstances.
Yeah.
But I've seen that people kind of blindly follow it because it says so, right? But we don't see, which I call behind the scene, what's happening in that person when that saying was put it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be wise enough to apply, but you have to kind of, model to your life, model to your situation, right? So
what's the context of it?
That's right. You do not ruin your life because such and such says so, right?
No.
What I always said, and I said, don't listen what I say to you. Don't take it as a granted, for granted, because you have to go through your whole system. You have to digest it.
Mm-hmm.
You accept which is close to you, because we all on different levels of development, and it has to be something which you take it from me or from somebody else, which is applied to you, which you're comfortable to, at that moment, accept it, and then you go with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rush, there's no pushing, right? Because it has to flow, right? And that's my general approach to work with anyone, right?
Well, and I think it's a great approach to have as far as being a coach or mentor to others. It just meet people where they're at.
That's right.
Rather than where you want them to be. It's not to say that you don't recognize the potential in them and they can get to a certain point, but a lot of times we get in our own way. So I'll liken it to just say somebody getting into better shape. I could be dealing with a client, they might be 50 pounds overweight, and I could see where they could be with just some of the tools I'm providing them. We're working together. It's not just me dictating, saying, well, you have to follow this down to the letter, but you'll have that interaction. But maybe they don't see themselves as 50 pounds lighter and doing the thing just yet. Let's start off with the first 5 pounds, and then, we reevaluate. At the same time, I don't want to be the gospel according to any of ourselves as contributors, because sometimes people will look to the so-called experts or mentors as somebody to blame if things don't work out. And just say, like, no, we're discussing things here. I'm sharing what I can with you, but ultimately you're responsible for how you want to interpret that information and what you want to do with it.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I always, I'm not a fan of the programs which is fit to everybody, is like given, one thing and you just follow, right? Because you have to adjust it, right? And like you said, you can't push one client, you cannot push to the end of the right way, right? Because they need to stay in the middle, right? So you have to be, careful how you guide, right? And that's why it's important to be adjusted to the person, to the time. And I always said, there's, people said you have to step out from the comfort zone. Yes, it's true. But sometimes pushing too far, right? It breaks you, right? It breaks in the middle of the road, so you don't have no strength to go farther, right? But when you take time, you acknowledge what you need, and you are consciously present in today. So you listen to your body, you listen to your thoughts, you acknowledge what's happening to you. So it gives you much more power to, to go to tomorrow, because you aware what's happening. Because awareness, as I see it, it's a 50% of the success, because you acknowledge everything what's happening, and you know what's happening. So you're seeing the sources, and you start to act on them, right? So the awareness is the big thing, right? When you start to admit in what's happening to you, it's already a success, right?
And you're covering a lot of great points there. It's just like, I'm certainly a big believer in small baby steps along the way as well. This way it's not as frightening. Because it's like, if you just take like a little bit of action on a daily basis, it's that cumulative effect. And one of the contributors talks about, change your habit a little bit, and then after say 66 days, and it varies depending on the person and the actual habit, it's ingrained in you, rather than kind of going for the light switch where, okay, you're off, but then you're on. It's like, it might be too much for some people.
That's right. Sometimes it creates unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
So we already understand that when person ready for changes, it's already stressful, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But being present, it's and acknowledging what's happening today, and having those acceptance of the fewer steps for today, and planning accept them. So it gives you ability not to be stressed, but to be present and to be aware of what's happening. And you know that it's okay to do today. So you acknowledge yourself. And I always suggest people to have a daily planner, but not with many things to accomplish, but at least you can track yourself and you can reward yourself, because by rewarding yourself, you stimulate yourself for more. And instead of somebody rewarding you, because it's not something that we put out to the public daily, but rewarding yourself, it should stimulate you to step further in accomplish more, right? So, and having a track through the day and through the week, when you go back the end of the week, you will see, okay, see, that's my area what I completed. You kind of accountable to yourself, and it helps you to see where more strengths you can put it, where your less accomplishments are, right? So it's kind of that way you will see the results, and the results are almost immediate, right? Because when you go back a week from now, so you will see what you accomplished.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that checking in on a somewhat regular basis, you don't want to be too stringent with the checking in.
No.
It's like, going back to the whole fitness side of it, just as an analogy, like, if somebody's always stepped on a scale to see where they're at, like, okay, you stepped on the scale 5 minutes ago, but you didn't get your workout in. So it's like, like, don't always step on the scale, get off enough to see where you're at, but you still have to go to the gym to train. Like, don't say, well, I got to see where I was 5 minutes ago. Like, you just saw it. Now you're not doing anything to take you to the next step.
Yeah, I agree to that. It has to be, but say I have the clients who took us, some time in order to even to get to the point of planning the week, to get the planner, right? Because everything what we keep in the head, right? It's not gonna get done. Because today you slack, today you got phone call and something distraction are happening like massively. But when you have at least 3 things which is major to accomplish today, and but the end of the, say, half of the day, you see where you are,
Mhm.
and you don't miss your appointments. You respond to your emails. So you have to structure day. But like I like what you suggest, not to be strictly, to that, but at least you have a chunk of the day, so tomorrow I
Mhm.
have such a, and specifically when you deal in, people have, they have family to deal with, they have the kids, they have business to deal, and there's lots of things. So you have no structure as your day, so you don't get overwhelmed and say by 12 o'clock, I don't know what I'm doing, right?
Mhm. And I like the fact that you're saying, like, don't try to keep everything in your head, put it on paper. The approach that I found that's beneficial for me is having a master list of things that need to get done, prioritize it. And I like what you're saying, what are your top 3 things today? Even if you only do 3 things, that's going to have the biggest impact. So what I'll do in a case like that is get those 3 things done for sure. If I've got time to do extra, I will.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
I'm
right.
that much further ahead the next time. It doesn't mean, like, that if I do 6 things today, I can take tomorrow off. Like,
Yeah, it
tomorrow,
doesn't.
okay, I'm ahead of the game and just try to keep up the momentum. And if something comes up, it's like, well, I've committed myself to these 3. That's what's got to be taken care of.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree to that, because, and I've seen it, the people who start doing that, they are, they complete more things with less effort.
Mhm.
And the whole idea is to avoid a stress, because what I always suggest to my clients when you in stress, right, is like you imagine yourself right in the room, and the floor is covered in the dust start to come up, right, and you don't see clearly what's happening. So
Mhm.
we're trying to avoid the dust coming to your eyes, right, to blur your vision. So we always want to be clear, and that's I put in my next slide, which
Yeah.
I said what happiness means to me, and I cover almost many areas, which is starting with your soul, and starting with prevention of the stress, and organizing your desk, because everything what we have to have a minimal impact of the stress, and we have to put our thoughts towards happiness, joy, and fulfillment, and accomplishing of our tasks, right?
Mhm. Well, if we can go through each of the letters, and if you can expand on a little bit, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. For the H, I put it home, and home for your soul. What I mean by that, I already described that. To me, it's important to point it to the client and to see what's happening in their soul. Means that they start to use own resources versus to always trust somebody else, and go by the book, by this, by this, by that. They have to start to make sure they do believe in themselves. And also I cover in that one, I cover the home for your soul, that cover your physical body, and cover actual home where you live. So I have like 3 components in that.
Love it. That's great.
The attitude towards yourself and others, it's how you treat yourself in your thoughts and how you treat others. There is I always say, if you treat others and yourself with love and respect, you cannot go wrong. And this one, if you practice more, you get more results, you get more rewarded. Sometimes it's hard because some people sometimes they have ability to say, it's not fair, I want them to be punished. I said, we're not here to punish anybody. We just have to do what we have to do, because
Mhm.
everybody kind of serving on I call that karma script, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, I'm not gonna ask anybody to punish you, because you will go through a cycle and I go through my cycle. As though we don't harm anybody, so be good to go, right? But so it's as well, it's covered a point where less stress.
Mhm.
Think what you can accomplish for yourself, think how you can master your own skills, right?
Mhm. Well, yeah. And to interrupt for a second there, it's like,
Yep.
yeah, because sometimes we are caught up in, like, well, this is not fair, and this should happen to this person. The approach that I try to use with others, it's like, well, it's one of 3 options. If I can help you, I will. It's like, if we don't get along for whatever reason and I choose not to help you, I'm just going to leave you where you're at, but I'm not going to intentionally do something
That's
I
right.
will punish you.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. And I've seen that a lot. And people said that's not fair. I said nobody told us it's going to be fair, right? But it doesn't look to us fair from our view. But when you shift your vision around something, right? When you wrap your head around something, it might look fair to them. But as long as we kind of, like you suggest, and we pass each other, peacefully,
mhm.
then we're good to go, right? Because we can help everybody. We can help
No.
only some people, but for sure, we don't have to harm other people, right? We
Mhm.
prevent that thing to happen. So that's my approach too.
Well, and as far as the helping others, like, and this is what I find interesting, if I have to say no to somebody, and there are circumstances, like, just because I'm really focused on this project, is like, and I don't want to let down you and the other contributors. So I have had to say no to other important things just that aren't as high as a priority. They say, well, George, aren't you being selfish? And I'm saying, well, if I do what you want me to do, is not being selfish on your end.
That's
So,
right.
and I look at selfish in, say, the noble sense of the word. So, like, I don't have a right to your time, energy, or resources. You don't have a right to mine. It's an exchange of values.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, well, George, do this, it's like, okay, I can say, Halyna, buy me a house and pay off my entire mortgage because I don't want the stress of having to pay for things. Because it'll make me feel better, but what's that do for you? It's like, no. It's like,
Yeah.
just,
So in this case, we can see clearly, right? But in some little
yeah.
things, people just blindly don't see it, what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not used to, to yes response. And I agree to that too. And saying no, it's a big deal too, right? And you have to feel good about saying no, because it's not selfish, it's just serving your current circumstances at the moment, right? But as long as you honest about that, so
Yeah.
that's what it stands, right?
Yeah. And like, and maybe there's another way to help the person out, perhaps not in the way that they wanted initially, but, oftentimes there is another way of looking at a particular situation and saying, okay, I can't do this exact thing for you. How about we try this? Or, let's just talk back and forth and see if there's a middle ground somewhere. But some
That's
people
right.
think,
Yeah.
well, it's got to be like only one way or the other. It's like, I'm sorry, if it's not working for me, just because of other things there. And sometimes we kind of get caught up in a situation where others want us to justify why we're not following through because we've always followed through. And I've had a situation, like, I'm not going to go into the detail on that, but it's like, well, what are you doing that's more important than this thing over here? I go, this is very important to that person, and I recognize the importance of it. I also recognize the relationship I have with them. But here's what's going on with my immediate family and my current commitment to not just the contributors, but also those purchasing the package. I can't keep everybody happy all the time. There's only so much of me to go around.
That's right. Yeah. And people have to take responsibilities also to be in a project or to do different things, setting up the meetings, different things which business requires every day, right? But the judgment, we have ability, as all other negative things, we have ability to put it out so quickly. And that's what I've learned, and I lots of teaching my clients not to be judgmental and to forgive others, because I said not forgiving others, it just the way how it's like you carry extra baggage with you, or like a luggage with you, right? And it's like carrying it through the day, so you don't have to, or because they didn't deserve it, or they're not good. I said it's not our business to decide it how they deserve it or not, but you have to let it go because it's holding you back. It's not letting you to go to tomorrow, right?
That's right. And like, forgive them for your benefit, not necessarily for theirs. Just
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I like that saying which says you forgive others because not that they just deserve it, because you deserve to have a peace. And my whole concept is based on the peace, your inner peace, right? Like you have to prevent everything. You have to be preventing everything which destroy that inner peace. Because if you're not in peace, you don't think clearly, you don't act clearly, right? You
Exactly.
come from the place of anger, ego, and so on, right?
Yeah. Well, and I read something interesting, and I don't recall where I picked this up from, But they're saying, like, basically forgive that other person for the apology that you never got from them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you kind of close that deal. And I said, once you close that one, you put it on the shelf and it's there. It's like
Exactly. You're done, and you
right?
can move on.
And
Yeah.
you can move on, and whichever, if it comes back to you again, you will open, you will deal with it, but you don't have to constantly analyzing that and have that in your hands, that open box, which you don't know what to do because you don't have interaction with another person, right?
Well, and even if you do have that interaction with them, it's like, say they're just not ready to own up to what happened and
Yeah.
their side of things. It's like, okay, that's their level of development. You can get upset about it and say it's not fair and they should pay, but they're not doing it. And if they're not, you can't force it. And put it this way, I could do something to you. I could apologize for the sake of apologizing, but if it's not a sincere apology, and if I'm not trying to make amends for what I've done wrong to you, it's shallow and it's hollow.
Yeah.
Like, I said, I'm sorry. It's like, but it's not coming from the heart, and I'm not trying to make things better for you. So then, what's it really doing? It's just hot air.
Yeah, I agree to that. I've learned that through my intuition. I learned that I feel when people saying choose or not choose, right? But to me, I don't take that to the eye of another person, that I try to accept what they say, and for my own thing, I know where it's coming from, right? But I stopped long time ago. I stopped blaming people. I stopped lecturing them. It's like I think about all the conversation as an energy.
Mm-hmm.
If I spend that energy one way and nothing coming back to me, basically I'm losing energy. So I have to think after that where I'm gonna gain my energy coming back to me. So by lecturing people, by putting negative words towards negative thoughts, it's one way energy which is coming out from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes out and nothing comes back. So you don't have proper exchange. So you're not fulfilling back your energy, what you spend. So that's how I try to be conscious about that. And that's what I teach my clients too. Why you have to, spend that energy. There's no reason for that. Nothing gonna change. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be only depleted. That's all.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, you brought up some great points, and I've actually ended some friendships. The reason why I put the quotes on it, it's people that have been in my life for, we're talking years, like let's say 30, 35 years, known since childhood. We had common interests, but we didn't really have common values. And the way I used to be is I'm thinking, okay, if I try harder, maybe this person's going to realize what I'm putting into it and they're going to reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
But some people will, some people won't. Yeah. And put it this way, it doesn't have to be like, an equal transaction every time you do something. But in the long run, it should feel balanced. And if a person is able to help you out when possible, why not? But it's like where I've had frustration in the past, it's just I look at what I've done for others. They don't try to help me out when I'm going through my challenges, even though they're perfectly able to, and it doesn't take much away from their life. It's like, well, I'm sorry, I've invested something in that individual where that same energy that you're talking about could be going towards more self-fulfillment.
That's right.
Or developing more powerful relationships. And I consider like you and the other contributors, not just business associates, but friends and family. And I'm closer to you guys than people that I know for decades.
Yeah, it's true. It's I figured that out about love, what you said, and about in relationship, right? I said the love cannot be ever equal, and we should not be looking for that. If you want to put it out, you put it out, right? But you have to have at least some feedback, appreciation of that, or recipient has to take that, right? So, but it has to have some kind of energy exchange, right? If there's none, you're gonna be, you're not gonna last long, which is okay sometimes too in the cases, right?
Well, and sometimes you need to go through that, and I'm going to be using a bit of profanity here. Like, it's not that I'm swearing at you or the listeners or anything like that. It's just, me just kind of saying what's on my mind. If I clean it up too much, I don't express myself fully.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to eat some shit to know what a good steak tastes like.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Yeah, or like, well, whether it's steak or any other thing that you enjoy, like at the same time, like rinse your mouth out of that crappy feeling and that taste that you have, so you can appreciate what's there. But if you just have the joy of whatever that's in front of you, sometimes you just need a little bit of that negative, like, okay,
to
now I know what
appreciate more. Yep.
now I know what I don't want, but don't focus on what I don't want. Look at it quickly, and that's just something one of the other contributors says, okay, recognize for what it is. It's like, okay, based on what you don't want, what do you want?
That's right. I come up with a short called 4A system. It just simplicity. I just put it together. So it says when people feel, unhappy, they said, somebody used me. All these negative thoughts which people, collecting, and they, oh my God, I'm depressed, this and that. And I said, you have to acknowledge what's happening with you.
Yeah.
By acknowledging what's happening, it gives you quick kind of inventory what you want to have in your life and what's happening. So you accepting rather something you're not accepting, right? So it gives you ability to see clearly, not to look tomorrow, look today. And I always attempt to look in today, because we can control today more or less than yesterday than tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you're always looking at things in the past, you can get depressed. If you're anticipating that getting used again in the future, then you're going to be anxious about that. And I've been in situations like that where I blamed others for certain things, and I've had people come up and just be straight with me, George, like, hey, how long has this been going on? And it's like, okay, for whatever length of time. Why do you keep putting yourself in this situation with this individual? Because that's the way that they are. So I think it was Maya Angelou that talked about this, and I don't want to fall to a category where I'm always quoting other experts, because then it takes away from the great info that you shared with me. But she's basically saying, like, when somebody shows you their true colors, believe them.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you have to, what you said, sometimes you have to have that bad experience for people to have, to show the true colors, right?
Yeah.
And when they show you one, you give them a chance to show a couple times, right?
Yeah.
And then when you exceed it more than 3 times, and when you complain that somebody used you, I always said, you allow them to be that way.
Exactly.
Because you've seen the signs coming to you once, and you give them, okay, so one more chance. But at 3, depending on the situation, you should stop.
Oh, exactly.
Continuously allowed people to be that way, and then suddenly start to blame them. You're the one who allowed them to be.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And it's important to, in the business, it's important to, because you have to recognize those quickly, and you have to see if you want to work with them or you don't.
Well, I think it applies to pretty well any area in life, whether it's business or relationships. And there's some contributors that I was hoping would have been part of this project, but they're not the right fit. And there's only so many times I'll follow up with people. And like, and I dropped the ball on a few occasions, and I acknowledge that. It's never going to be perfect, but the whole thing is the intention behind it.
That's right.
So the way that I look at it, and I'm basically saying, okay, if you're at your place of employment, like say you're working for someone else, you're not self-employed, would you treat a coworker like this? No. Would you treat your supervisor like this? No. So why do you treat me like this?
That's right.
Whether it's in a business situation or even as a friendship, I'm sorry, there's certain repercussions and consequences. This behavior is not acceptable. Here's why, and if a person doesn't try to acknowledge and try and make things better, I'm sorry. It's like, you're better off having fewer people in your life that are healthy for you, rather than having a whole bunch of acquaintances on Facebook or other social media. It's like, well, okay, look how big my list is, but a lot of them are treating like shit and taking advantage of you.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And say, from what I observe, right, because I do, one of my field, what I do coaching, I do on spirituality, right? And those people getting some gifts, they developing the gifts. So I help them with that too. And by going from, higher levels, you will see, and that's what happened. You will see that your circle of friends, it's getting smaller and smaller, because you are able to feel more energy from people. You're able to recognize true colors, right? And then you go quantity over quality. You don't need 10 friends, which, like you said, that they just pretend to be friends for whatever reason. So you probably might end up with 3 friends, but so those are
more
people.
value in it.
That's right. And they value who you are, so you don't
Mhm.
have to pretend, and they always when you need them and so on, right? So that's
Mhm.
what happened. And many people are not ready to accept that, because they used to the masses, they used to the
Mhm.
tribes, but there's no need in that anymore, right?
No, and even like, if you're looking to have a big tribe, like, no matter what you do, somebody's still going to get upset,
That's right. That's
regardless
right.
of your intention. And I just look at my own life as far as family dynamics, and it just, everybody's got different points of view, different contexts. Could be age differences, so many factors to look
So
at.
many factors. That's right. There's many
So
factors.
yeah, and like, as long as I'm not intentionally doing something to harm myself or anyone else, people should basically just mind their own business. Like, if you're not going to help somebody, don't try to bring them down.
That's right. That's right. So that's one thing behind that, right? What I said, as long as you everything was love and you serving your soul, not ego, you're good to go. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter age, it doesn't matter what you do, your work, it doesn't matter the nationality, the color, like gender, nothing. It's matter
Mhm.
as long as you treat people with love and respect,
Yeah.
and you're serving your soul, right? Because even say in the business, nothing, you cannot be where you want to be, some things not happen, as long you forward to the person and say, I'm not able to participate in this project, or I have to do this. You value the intention to, to bring the true information, right? So that's what it
Mhm.
is. And in the
Well,
end of the day, it doesn't matter what happened, the
mhm.
person, you'll be okay with this person because the person see intention behind it, and